A very good morning to all, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom Grieve and I'll be taking us through the proceedings here today. Assisting in the crowd, of course, the marketing agents, John Pantelios and Josh Hommelhoff. Many of you would have had the pleasure of meeting throughout the course of the campaign. And together we're representing Ray White estate agents, auctioneers and property managers of 77 Carnegie Road in Carnegie. On behalf of the team at Ray White, but more importantly on behalf of our vendors here today, I'd just like to say a very quick thank you to you all for attending. 20 of the interested buyers here today, all the very best of luck with your bidding, and 20 of the underbidders. Commiserations in advance. Today's auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions that were made available for inspection before the start of today's auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for the property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price, and as the auctioneer, I'll indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits any major disruptions by bidders, and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and it does provide fines for this conduct. The rules do permit vendor bids, and the words we'll use during the auction to indicate we're making a bid on behalf of the vendor will very simply be vendor bid. And of course, by law, only I as the auctioneer today have the right to place that bid on behalf of the vendor. Attached to the contract of sale is the section 32. We have had that on display for the last half an hour or so. It has been sent out to a handful of people over the last few weeks, and if you have taken the time to read through it, you'll see that it does very clearly state that Ray White, as the vendor's estate agent here today, are selling what is formally described as Lot 2, in this instance being the apartment itself, and Lot 7, interestingly in this instance, being the garage just on the end there. Very unusual to find a property of this vintage in this area with a garage. On plan of subdivision 028836K, which is of course more commonly known to yourself and I as apartment 2, number 40 Tranmere Avenue here in Carnegie. Now in a moment's time, when I do call for your bidding, we'll be asking for a deposit equal to 10% of the purchase price. Balance payable, preferential terms, 60, maybe 90 days if that helps you from today. And seeking obviously that 10% deposit, of which we'll try and get a down payment of maybe $5,000 or $10,000 today, whatever your bank allows you to transfer today, and the balance of that 10% will be due on the next business day, being Monday. Now, if you are a first-time auction attendee, to place a bid, it's very, very simple. A couple of options available to you here today. You can either shout out your bid in a nice, clear voice, or alternatively seek assistance from John or Josh. They'll be floating around in the crowd today to assist with any questions or bidding that you might need in relation to the property. The way that I'll be selling it is by calling it down 3 times. On the first, second, third, and final call, when the contract hits my hand, like so, the property will be sold. And at that point, buyers, no late bids can or will be accepted. So it's really, really important to make sure you get your bidding in nice and early before that contract hits my hand, or otherwise you'll run the risk of missing out on one of the greatest 2-bedroom apartments available in Carnegie as we speak. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we know that there's value in these solid brick properties. They've got a purist following. Some people that just want to avoid some of the inherent headaches that can come with some of the modern builds. Not all of the modern builds are bad, but many of them are riddled with water leaks, or riddled with cladding issues, or riddled with high body corporate fees and issues like that. We've never been served a cladding notice on a solid brick building. I'll say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. They don't burn. It's as simple as that. They're built like houses, as the old saying goes. Solid brick construction is definitely the way to go. One of the downsides of solid brick is they can be a little bit more expensive or difficult to renovate, but thankfully that's been done for you. You can go into the bathroom, you can see the floor-to-ceiling tiles. At some stage that bathroom has been gutted and done from start to finish, with the laundry taps in there as well. A really important thing to make sure in these solid brick properties you are finding ones that's got the laundry taps in there, because they can be difficult to retrospectively fit in. The kitchen as well, perfectly renovated with that stone bench top. The Miele appliances, I once got told those appliances are superheroes of the appliance world. It really is a beautiful level of renovation in that kitchen and throughout the property. And if that's not enough to get you involved, ladies and gentlemen, that courtyard on title, wrapping all the way around the property. It's not a concrete jungle. It's got these beautiful leafy outlooks, which is very hard to find. And in many instances, when you're buying in older buildings like this, it's very hard to just go out and plant trees like that and have them looking as mature and lush and as beautiful as these trees do in the average tenureship of one of these properties. A lot of the time people only hold them for 5 or 6 years. Getting a garden to look like that in 5 or 6 years is virtually impossible. You're buying the maturity of all of this stuff that's already been done for you. The property is ready to move in and turn the key, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely perfect in every way. Make no doubt about that. Location-wise, well, if Carnegie had a heartbeat, ladies and gentlemen, Tranmere Avenue is it. One of the best streets in the area, if you ask my opinion. You've got all these beautiful period homes down here. You've sort of been spared a lot of the modern development. Yes, you've got some of these low-set solid brick apartment buildings, but more or less what you see today is what you're going to get in the future. It's not going to change substantially under the current planning laws for the next foreseeable future. Just moments away from Murrumbina Station, moments away from Carnegie Station and the Koonung Road Shopping Precinct, moments away from the Monash University, the Monash Freeway, Chadstone Shopping Centre, only about a 10 or 15 minute drive to Brighton Beach. Everything you could want and more from a lifestyle location, ladies and gentlemen, is available when you're buying in Carnegie, or this part of Carnegie. If you're walking down the other end of the road, you've got the 67 tram. It'll take you all the way into the city via Elstonwick. You can stop off and jump on the Sandringham line while you're there if you like. Cafe Del Mar, just at the end of the street as well. A plethora of eateries and cafes and shopping to choose from. It really is a fantastic place to be buying, folks. What's the market doing at the moment? Before we get underway, it's a question everyone's been asking me. One day you read a report saying house prices are going to drop and interest rates are going up. The next day you read a report saying house prices are still surging and that they're expecting another 5 or 10% growth this year. Who do you believe? Well, you don't know, and that's just the reality. But the problem is, when it feels right to buy, it's usually too late. By the time it feels right, the market's already roaring, the competition's out there and it's difficult and you're paying too much for things. In those times of uncertainty, it's the people that capitalise on those opportunities that end up being the ones that get the spoils later on. So ladies and gentlemen, all we know at the moment is that historically interest rate rises have never flattened a market. They might have stopped the market growing by 20% in a year, but they've never flattened a market, at least not in the last 10 or 20 years. So don't be worried about these things, ladies and gentlemen. The best time to buy is right now, right here. Don't be shy, folks. We'll put it across to you now. We'll call for a reasonable start. 2 at 40 Tranmere Avenue, Carnegie. In your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Who'd like to bid us away here today? Don't mind the start. Happy to place a vendor bid if I need to. Range of 540 to 590 throughout the campaign. Perhaps something around the mid-fives, bottom end of the range. You tell me, buyers. 540, do we say? 540 if you'd like to go, buyers. Otherwise, I'll be placing a vendor bid. You tell me. If I place a vendor bid, you'll be bidding against me. Alternatively, you're bidding now on your own terms, buyers.
540 over here, Tom.
540, welcome to the bidding. All the very best of luck to you at 540,000. There's your competition, ladies and gentlemen. Let's call for a rise of 10 from there. At 540,000, fairly bidden off it now. 5.5 if you'd like to go, buyers. 540,000 a bid. At $540,000, fairly bidden off it. Looking for a rise of 10. Take it to 5.5 now, buyers. At $540,000 a bid. First call now at 540. Second call, 540 the bid. Third and final call at $540,000 a bid. Surely not, buyers. Johnny and I had a ground floor solid brick just before Christmas, Rigby Avenue, Carnegie. Nice apartment, but the location not quite as central as this one. That one nudged 600,000, and this is a better property in my opinion. At 540,000, exceptional buying opportunity. 550, do we say, buyers? In your hands for a rise of 10 at 540,000. We're barely bidding off it now. Last opportunity for you all at 540,000 a bid. First call now at 540. Second call, 540,000. Third and final call. Speak now or forever hold your peace, ladies and gentlemen, at 540 the bid. Last chance now. First, second, third and final call. All done, all silent, all finished at 540. Well, buyers, please just give us one moment of your time. We'll quickly go and have a chat with our vendors. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. Not a great deal to report to the vendor at this stage. The highest bid at $540,000. We're still dealing exclusively with the highest bidder. I haven't ruled out using another vendor bid in excess of this level. I don't really want to do that, but if you are here to potentially bid, now is the time to speak. Let me remind you that when a property does pass into the highest bidder, in over 80% of the instances that it passes in, it goes on to sell to that buyer in post-auction negotiation. So you don't want to be sitting back to wait and see what happens. That's the worst strategy you can adopt right now. The next bid is unlikely to buy the property, but it's going to instantly increase your chances as a buyer to 80% of buying this property. So let that sink in. Do you want to be on the 80%? Do you want to be on the 20%? I'm not a gambling man, but I'd want to be on the 80%. So at $540,000, there's your competition, ladies and gentlemen. Calling for a rise of 10. Can't make it any easier than that. At $540,000 a bid now. First call at $540. 50, can we say? Second call, $540. Third and final call at $540 the bid. Well, folks, I'm going to place my one and only vendor bid today, $560,000. The bids with me, I'll invite you back in for 10, and I promise you there will not be another vendor bid on top of that. Arranged throughout the campaign of $540 to $590. We'd still be dealing exclusively with the highest bidder at $560,000. The bids with me, happy for you to come in for 10 now. At $560,000, there'll be no more vendor bids from you, ladies and gentlemen. $560,000 a bid, I'll call it down 3 times. At $560,000 a bid now. First call at $560. Do we say 70 buyers? Come in now, get yourself in front. Second call now, $560 the bid. For the third and final call. All done, all silent, all finished. Bidding for that exclusive right of refusal. Let me remind you that if somebody bids on top of that, we're only allowed to speak to them post-auction. If nobody does, then we can speak to anybody. And I know there was 1 or 2 people here that weren't maybe able to bid under the guidelines of the auction here today that might be interested in talking to us post-auction. So to avoid that competition, the best thing you can do is bid right now. At $560,000 a bid. Last opportunity, buyers. Even happy?
We'll match it, Tom.
Well, happy for you to match it. I was about to say, Johnny, at $560, welcome back to you. At $560 the bid now, folks. No more vendor bids from me. At $560,000 I've got. First call now at $560. Second call, $560,000. For the third and final call, all done, all silent, all finished, at $560. Well, buyers, once more, if there is no further bidder advance, the property will pass into this, the people standing next to Johnny there on the third and final call, and then they'll be invited inside to have exclusive right of refusal. So just to make it really clear again, if the property passes into our highest bidder, we're not able to speak to anybody else except that person. So if you do want to have the chance for us to speak to you about this property, right now is the time to bid. Last opportunity, we've all been given fair warning. At $560 the bid now. First, second, third and final call. All done, all silent, all finished. At $560 the bid. Well, buyers, with that, we'll formally pass the property in at $560,000. Please join me in congratulating the highest bidder. We'll look forward to negotiating a sale in a few moments' time. Thank you very much for coming down today, and have a great day.